My next guest has tasted success at the highest level. He's a multiple Grade 1 winning trainer. He's won Grade 1s at Cheltenham and Punchestown. He's enjoyed great success at Aintree as well. This season, he's really starting to try and re-establish himself, his team and his stable after a series of professional and personal bumps in the road, and he's doing so with considerable aplomb. He is Warren Greatrex, now the master of Roanhurst Stables in Upper Lambourn. Warren, great to see you.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Not at all. Thanks for coming in. It's fair to say that since you were last here, life's taken a number of twists and turns that you might not have foreseen. Really, it hasn't all been plain sailing, has it?
No, it hasn't. No. Yeah, the last time I can't remember when it was. 2018, something like that. Yeah. So we've.
And things were going swimmingly.
Yeah, going swimmingly, and some, top class horses, etc. And like everything, those ones have gone by the wayside and moved yards, and quite a lot happening. And so just had a couple of quieter seasons, but the future looks good. I'm very excited. The
future looks bright, and obviously this has been a much better season. From sort of 2018 to 2020, if you like, just talk us through sort of what sort of happened really in terms of where things started to kind of unpick at the seams a little bit.
I think it's just that those horses, the likes of Cole Harden, Mr. Proach,
La Bagoua,
One Track Mind, these horses were winning Grade 1s, and then La Bagoua was just coming to the end, and we were just, the next group of horses just weren't as good. And then I was at Uplands at the time, and things were changing there, and I was going to have to find somewhere else, and it was probably not so much take my eye off the ball, but it's been taxing, but it makes you stronger.
Yeah, I mean, you had an awful lot to manage, didn't you, in terms of your young family, a lot of children.
Yeah.
5, I think, at the last count.
5, yeah. That is it.
You sure? Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
No more.
Yeah.
And you one of the stressful things in life, establishing your family, moving yards as well, and you need your horses to be delivering for you, and they weren't delivering for you.
No, and they probably they weren't as good as I had hoped. The young stock coming through just didn't reach the expectations that I thought they would, and then we all know it's hard to find the next good one, and and just probably a bit of everything. Just this dip in form started, but like I say, I think we're coming back now.
Yeah, and those early successes were spectacular ones as well, because you take a horse who was quite blue collar really to begin with, like Cole Harden, turn him into a champion. You take a mare like La Bagoua and you go to the Dublin Racing Festival and win a Grade 1, which now people think is unthinkable for a British trained horse.
I'm still the only one, I think.
Is it still the only one?
I think I'm the only English trainer to win a Grade 1 there. And
since it became the Dublin Racing Festival,
exactly. Yeah. So, and I think it's important to think outside the box and do something different. And like I took One Track Mind to Punchestown, he won the Grade 1 there, the big stairs hurdle, and and Cole Harden, I mean, he was a really hard horse to train. He had terrible knees, and he used to swim a lot, and Graham Baines, who rode him at the time, did a fantastic job with him. And if anyone had said he would have won a world hurdle, they would have thought you're crazy. But I think sometimes you've got to think big, and watching it there, great times. And when you're having those lower times, these are the days you want, because that's what it's all about.
But I suppose this could have a double effect on you, really. You look at it on one way and think, I can really do this job, because that's what I did.
Yeah.
You look at it through another prism, and you think, God, I used to be able to do that, and I can't do that anymore. Where were you? Where were you in there?
I know I can do the job, and I've proved it time and time again. But it's just like anything. When you're not being able to compete at that level, it's more, you've just got to be careful that the outside world are thinking, God, has he forgotten what he could do? Mm-hmm. I've never felt that. You do have times where you just question yourself, but I think you've just got to keep doing what you do best, and believe in yourself, which anyone that knows me, I do. And the longer it goes on, the more you want it back.
Now you're someone who who enjoys life, you've got a keen sense of humour, even if you try and portray this exterior of great seriousness. Did you keep your sense of humour throughout?
Yeah, I think so. I'd like to think so. Like, yeah, you're right. You know, anyone that knows me, I don't take life too seriously.
I mean, my producer's saying that you're a big Spurs fan, so you must have a good sense of humour.
Great sense of humour, yeah.
But you know, again, I'm out of my depth here. But yes.
Yeah, that's a taxing time as well, so that added to the issues. But yeah, I think you've got to keep your sense of humour. I'm very lucky, you know. Tess, my wife, family, kids, you know, they're very important, and they sort of keep you striving forward. And you know, I want to be successful for them, and for them to be proud of what I'm doing, you know.
Now, your move to Roanhurst it hit the headlines at the time because it had been the stable where you'd really kind of grown up a bit, I suppose, under the tutelage of your old boss, Oliver Sherwood. Now, Oliver was on the sofa earlier in the season, and he said it's all kind of water under the bridge now. But there was some rancour at the time. How are you guys together now?
Yeah, all good. And I could see it from, I could definitely see it from Oliver and T's point of view, and it wasn't easy, but at the time, I was sort of in a situation, I had to, you know, I was having to move from Uplands, and we had to make a decision, and Jim and Claire Bryce, who have now become very good friends and bought Roanhurst, it was sort of not taken out of my hands, but they wanted to help, and this situation came, and...
Because it was on the market?
Yeah, it was on the market, and had been for a while, and... You know, I knew it would cause a problem. Yeah, but sometimes you have to do what's right for you and your family, and at that time that was the right thing, and I believe it still is.
And if you had your time again, I mean, it's not time for recriminations, but is there a way it could have been handled more smoothly so that everyone didn't feel as upset?
I'm not so sure, because I know what it meant, you know, what Roanhurst meant to Oliver. So I think it would have been a sore subject anyway.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your time there as assistant, because they were I can see you're starting to smile.
Yeah.
Because they were your formative years. I know you'd had the time with Josh Gifford and David Nicholson, but that was an interesting time for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was great. We had great times. I was there 10 years. I met Tess there while working for Oliver, and yeah, no, we had some really good times. And at the time I went there, I think Oliver would say, you know, he was going through a quiet time, and I'd like to think I helped with him and working as a really good team, and became very good friends. We got back on the map, and some great laughs, met some great people, great friends. Your brother ruined most of it, but
as in most things, I can't answer for him.
But no, it was great times, and you know, it was a time I really enjoyed. And to see Oliver, who is, you know, he's still a very, you know, great friend, and to see him get back to where he deserved to be, it meant a lot.
And for you now, pushing forward, are your ambitions different to what they were 5-10 years ago, for example? When I'm sure if I'd asked you what do you want, you'd have said, I want 150 horses and I want to be champion trainer. Do you still think like that or not?
I think you've got to be ambitious, but for me to say I'm going to be champion trainer, nah, that's not going to happen. I know that. I think it's become a game of numbers. But if I can get to the numbers of horses that I had before, and to compete in, you know, on the big days, and to keep doing what I do best, and for the owners that have stayed loyal, and hopefully owners going forward, just to, you know, to do the job the best I can do.
Even in the time that you've been training, which is what, just over a decade? Like that?
Started in 2012. Yeah.
Yeah. Even in that time, have you noticed owners' expectations changing?
I've noticed that the Cheltenham factor has become
so dominant.
Yeah, that's changed, you know, since I've been training, and now it is this monster that it's great, but you know, there's only 28 races, you know, over those 4 days, and we know how hard it is to win those. So it's definitely, if I've noticed anything, that is the way it's gone.
So when somebody comes to the yard, it's find me the Cheltenham winner, and then work backwards from there.
Yeah, ideally, you know, everyone wants a Cheltenham winner, and I've had two, so no, it's great. But yeah, we know it's hard, it's tough, and there's so much more out there.
Your stable, I said at the beginning of the programme, you were starting quite an important new initiative, and it's quite a different initiative as well, and it's sparked by tragedy that's very close to you and very personal to you, because you lost two of your staff to suicide in quick succession. Would you tell me a little bit about the two two members of your workforce that lost their lives?
Yeah. So it was just when I'd moved to Roanhurst, and it was tragic. My Michael Pitt, life and soul, lovely lad, son of Tim Pitt, who used to train, and we'd only moved to Roanhurst for not long, and yeah, just the tragic news that he'd taken his life, and it hit, you know, my family, but the staff, just, yeah, it was just tragic. And
then tragedy struck again.
Yeah.
In almost alarmingly quick succession.
Yeah, and yeah, so within months, David Thompson, another big member of the team, lovely lad, again, you know, I count him as part of the family, and yeah, so he took his life too. And yeah, it's tough.
How do you, as the boss, as the guy with his name on the licence, I know this is very difficult, how do you rally your troops? How do you pick everybody up?
I mean, you know, the staff were just incredible, and like I say, when I take staff on, Ollie, my assistant, he generally recruits the staff, but for me, you're dealing with a lot of young people, you know, sometimes they're leaving home for the first time, so you're not just their boss, you're sort of a father figure, or I feel, I would like to be portrayed at that. And to lose two members of staff in the matter of months. And I remember this, David, you know, having to go and stand in front of your staff, you know, and tell them another member is gone, you know, it's heartbreaking. And to see grown men hit the floor, you know, very upset, you know, I'm sorry, it sort of brings it all back, and it's tough, and I took it, you know, it's hard not to take it personal, because, you know, you sort of think, I feel responsible for these members of staff, and it was tough, you know, and but everyone was just brilliant, and you know, the core of the staff are still there now. There wouldn't be a day that I don't go through without thinking of those two young men, and it's, you know, it's something that is, you know, will be with me and everyone else that was involved in it forever.
And looking after your staff now, do you have to apply all the same principles that you always did to that, or has this affected you so profoundly that you approach that man management in a different way?
I don't think I change. I don't think we change as, you know, as a yard. My senior staff are brilliant with, you know, the staff that we have. And I've always just, you know, I think in racing it can be, you know, for the stable staff that are, you know, are around, it's a tough job, and these guys, you know, we couldn't do it without them, and I think you have to make them a part of the team. I think you know, and like I say, they're sort of part of the family, all of them, and I'd like to think I haven't changed. I'd like to think I'm always there for them to be able to come and talk to, as well as Ollie and Tess and my head lads as well. So yeah, no, I don't think so.
Did you always retain, even through that very dark period? And it's so obvious and so understandable that it is with you. It's so present within you. Did you ever lose faith in the sport, or not?
No. I just couldn't believe it. It was something that I just found it hard to take, and just for everyone else, I felt responsible for everybody, and it was a tough time.
And have you come through the idea of your own responsibility? Because you've spoken before about how you felt almost responsible, and you were almost carrying guilt with you. Are you coming through that?
Yeah, I am, and it's hard because both David and Michael, there was no sign, nothing. You wouldn't have known either were going to do that, and so you're wondering if you could have done anything else. But I know that we couldn't, as a team, as people. We couldn't do that. And when you saw these guys every day, they were just like every other member of staff. So I knew I couldn't do anything, and now going forward, I just want, I try and be even more out there so people can talk, etc.
Now you do want to do something in their memory, in Michael and David's memory, and you are trying to widen ownership in horses, whilst at the same time raising awareness for suicide, particularly suicide in young men. Just tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so through Richard Farquhar, we sort of spoke, and I just wanted to do something that could more awareness for young men. And so Nick Wentworth Stanley and Claire Milford Haven, they lost their son James while he was at Newcastle University, and again, no sign, etc. So they set up James's Place, and where young men can go to basically walk-in sessions and help them. And they opened one in Liverpool in 2018 and another one in London in 2022. So after speaking with them, I thought, well, myself and Richard, we just thought it'd be a really good thing that would mean so much to me personally, if I could give back and help. So we're going to have a syndicate which starts on May the 1st, and it's going to have one horse during the summer, and then lease another two for the winter, starting in September, October time. And then all the shares, etc., 25% will go to James's Place, and because they want to open more places for this to happen. And if, this is something that I'm very, obviously, really close to, and if I can help just one person, that would really mean a lot.
I think everybody will feel the pain that your yard has felt, and also will appreciate the candour that you've shown this morning, Warren, because I know it's really not easy to talk about this. You're obviously very proud of your team. You're proud of them and what they're going to achieve moving forward. When you look at the horses that you have now in your stable, how optimistic, how confident can you feel that the good times can roll?
Oh,
it's been a pretty good season as well.
Yeah. No, I think it's my best season number-wise for the last 4 seasons. And like I said, James, Jim and Claire Bryce, Roanhurst, anyone that's been to the yard since, the facilities we have there now, it was an amazing yard anyway, with a lot of history there. And now with the facilities we put in, it's a top training yard. The younger horses coming through look like they could be, and there's definitely a couple in there that could be very smart. Bill Baxter hopefully runs in the top of them on Friday. I'm very, I'm really hopeful of the chances of him. I think he is a lovely horse, and we've got a very nice horse in the mare's bumper, Issy Lorraine, who's a niece of La Bagoua.
La Bagoua. And any similarities?
Very, yeah. Not quite as tall and elegant. She's a stronger type, but she's 1-2 from 2, and I think she's stepping up every time. We took her away last week just because she won both her bumpers on the all-weather at Newcastle, and she worked very well. Quietly hopeful of her, but we've got some really nice young stock coming through, really good team of staff, great owners, and it's that, it's like anything, we've had a quieter time, and I'm just the facilities we've got and the horses we've got, I'm so excited. I think we're going to go back to the big time.
For the moment, and I know you're going to stay with us, thank you very much.
Thanks, Nick.
Warren Greatrex. We'll be right back after this break with this week's Talking Points.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.